That's a bad sign. It already disconnected. I'm staging or shaman sticking the feed though, because that really calms the energy down and clears it. I know a lot of people that will put their feeds in the violet flame too, because that really grounds it. I'm going to be doing this live for Mystery School and then a second live right after it for news. Give me a second to share it. We'll be covering session 14 right now real quick. This chapter really talked, or this section really talked a lot about extraterrestrial contact in the past and places that Ra actually came and taught, which is pretty amazing. I have one more share. I'm going to get through this pretty quickly too. Alright, a lot of you guys are already in this Mystery School class. Some of you guys might not know what I'm talking about. I'm doing a Mystery School of Atlantis class, which is kind of like a collaboration. I'm really excited because it's giving me a place to kind of learn how to teach you guys, and it's pretty amazing. So if you guys already haven't joined the group, it's in a class and a group on here. You can PM me or just go find it, Mystery School of Atlantis. There is a $20 donation to join now. That gives you lifetime access though. So I'll be using this space like and teaching and doing a live feed at least once a week. We're doing the Law 1 right now, but I'm going to move past that, and as soon as these books are done, and they don't take that long, we're going to move on to like the Emerald Tablets and some other works that you guys might know of that I'm pretty into. So it's a pretty good space that I can kind of practice teaching on you guys, learn how to teach, learn with you guys, and I really like it. So I'm going to be recapping on session 14 right now. Alright, we covered a few things last time about the second density and striving towards the third density, which is the density of self-consciousness or self-awareness. This is the density that a lot of you guys, including me, started out in. Some of you guys, this is kind of advanced material, so some of you guys might not understand everything I'm saying, but I would encourage you to keep listening, because just hearing this stuff really is going to affect your consciousness, is going to expand it, it's going to help you shift perspectives, and they say that you can only really learn 10% of the Law 1 at once anyway. You really won't retain it. So it's good to go over these kind of things. The Law 1 has been distorted, and that's humanity's problem right now. We're not seeing the Creator in each other. We are seeing ourselves as separate. And we really are having these kind of ego things brought out of humanity, and these kind of traits we don't like, but we are all from one source. We are all one. Anyone that you're encountering is really just a reflection. If you don't like the things you're seeing in the world, you're not ever going to change the world. You have to change yourself, and that will really change what you're reflecting. So we all have experience in this. We all lived in the third dimension. We're all here to help harvest this planet. And we have an important job. A lot of people are getting stuck on these little ego trips and things like that, but our job is to help and to serve humanity and to be teaching people the basic things that we brought here with us, the basic knowledge that we have, such as I'm really big on keeping your chakras clear, manifesting, taking control and power over your life, and little things like that. So it is our job to be helping and to really seeding every encounter with love and compassion. That is our job, just to be doing the best that we can here and really uplifting things. It's not really to be going around on ego kicks. It's really to be serving and to helping. And with that kind of comes a humbleness. So we're learning how to serve right now, a lot of us. We're really just becoming service and of others as a planet, where the whole planet was really service itself. So something really huge is happening. There are big shifts going on in consciousness. This striving takes place through higher second density forms being invested by third density beings. Let's go over what this means. Just like we invest in clothes in the third dimension, the second density beings invest in self-awareness. And that's really where, like I said, all of creation starts, is with self-awareness. That's where a lot of us are at too. We've been self-aware, but we're really becoming conscious right now. This is done through having pets. I had a second density pet. Now I think he's third density. But a lot of pets are in the second density and third density. There's many religions that worship animals. Animals are all second density beings, like I said. When Earth was second density, the second density beings on it became so invested, but in a third density way. This is a line of spiraling light called distortion. It moves upward from density to density. The process takes longer when there's no investment made by incarnate third density beings. We discussed the difference between second and third density bodies. They're both pretty similar. We used examples of Bigfoot going over that, how it's really similar to our body type, but that is a second dimensional body as opposed to our third and maybe higher dimensional bodies. We had this process here, but it was really interrupted by people who incarnated here from Mars, as we know. This had a lot to do with things going on genetically. They were different from the humans that were living here. It had nothing to do with their soul placements, but everything to do with their culture and genetics. And we're seeing a lot of those kind of same things and themes playing out again. We're pretty similar to that Martian culture that blew itself up and destroyed everything. We're pretty similar to Atlantis, which destroyed itself. A lot of us even lived there. So we're seeing a lot of these things just kind of replay over and over. This was all 75,000 years ago that this happened. That's when third density process of evolution began. We call this our cycle. And this is the same cycle. It's debatable that we ended it or we're ending it or we're in overtime or we're pretty close to these dates. Contact was the first made to help aid our evolution. The first attempt to aid people was 75,000 years ago. The next attempt was 58,000 years ago. This was with the people of Mu. The next attempt was 13,000 years ago. Intelligent information was given to the people of Atlantis. This came in the form of healing and crystal work. The next attempt was 11,000 years ago. These are approximations. We know that it's really hard for them to translate dates and times with the time-space continuums. I know it's really hard for a lot of people accessing information because we don't have the same measurement systems. But this last contact was with Egypt. The same beings returned 35,000 years ago in order to attempt to aid the South American people. But the pyramids in those cities were not able to be used in the appropriate fashion. There was a landing 3,000 years ago, again in South America. There were a few attempts to aid people 2,300 years ago. This was again in the area of Egypt. Ra says we've never they've never been gone from the fifth dimension, and that they're working with us as we end this cycle and prepare for harvest. You have to understand that we, for example, have our higher selves that are sixth dimensional entities, or ourselves in the future that are always helping us. So Ra has never left. They are still helping us, but preferred contact method now would be telepathy and communicating through channels of people. The Egyptian visit of 11,000 years ago was the only one where Ra actually walked the earth physically, though. The pyramids were built to ring the earth. Let's talk about the pyramids and how they were built. I want to get into that. I already put a post up a few days ago. I'm a little bit late. Usually I do my feeds on Monday, but I put a post up a few days ago. So we're going to talk about the pyramids basically today, and then we'll end with like Edgar Cayce for the rest of the session, because I know that kind of material can be a little boring to go over, but I still do have to like kind of cover everything. So the next session will be a lot more exciting material. There's 6 balancing pyramids and 52 others built for additional healing all around the world. I really like these pyramids because they're built on ancient ley lines. And these are energy points. They really correlate with energy vortexes, things like that. And they were harnessing free energy, which is something we all should be doing too. We could live in a lot nicer of a world if the government wasn't suppressing these kind of technologies. We could really be living in a beautiful place like these other cultures did. But they would really harness this ancient energy. It's really interesting to me because I'm learning how to harness energy to help heal people. So I'm really into kind of anything energy. So we're going to talk about what a balancing pyramid is. There's many force fields on the earth, each in their own geometric precise web. You guys should have interest in this too, because we make up this web. Literally, I'm always showing you the picture of the globe with the ley lines lit up, and we are part of this grid. We are lighting up this grid on a daily basis. So you guys should have a really interest in this. Energies stream into the earth planes from magnetically determined points. We call these ley lines. Because people don't understand the law of one, this planet is completely unbalanced, especially right now. It's never been more unbalanced. It's just kind of a second away from having a pole shift all the time. That's why these pyramids were placed in certain places to stop the Earth's magnospheres from collapsing and things like that. The balancing pyramids are structures that were charged with crystals, which drew the appropriate balance from the energy forces streaming into the various geometrical centers of electromagnetic energy which surrounds and shapes the planet. All these visits for the last 75,000 years were for the purpose of giving the people on Earth an understanding of the law of one. That's why it's so important that we, at some point, you really have to start following the law of one and abiding by it to progress past a certain point. This allows them to progress upwards towards the 4th, 5th, and 6th densities. And this was to be a service to Earth. The pyramids were also used in giving the law of one in their own way. So people don't understand, but it is our job to serve because a lot of us did come here with higher density souls. So it is our mission to literally learn how to serve others. That's just where we are with our learning and our understanding. And this is where they were. They just came here to teach. It was their mission to teach and bring the law of one to Earth and kind of free it from the distortions. Because when the law of one was given back then in Egyptian times, the people in power used it to kind of stay in power and to keep humanity enslaved. The balancing pyramids prevented the Earth from changing its axis. The balancing pyramids were used for individual initiation. However, the pyramids were also designed for the balancing of the planetary energy web or the ley lines. The other pyramids are not placed correctly for earth healing, but for the healing of people. We see that with a lot of monuments. A lot of these places are where there's a lot of spiritual energy. I know that like in Hawaii that they used to have these amazing healing crystals there, and they're still there, but they're covered in lava and they're underwater, but they still emit the same frequencies, and it's really amazing. So they're still giving off those kind of Lemurian frequencies. So there's a lot of beautiful energy in a lot of these places. The balancing pyramids were to increase the lifespan of people here so that they could gain more wisdom of the law of one while they were incarnate here. You guys might think I'm crazy or not, but I'm working on reverse aging, and I'm convinced I'm going to live a very long time this life, and that we don't have to age in the way that we've been led to believe. The pyramids were not actually called balancing pyramids at the time, though, but they were used to learn and to teach, and healers really implemented these processes. George Van Tassel built a machine in our western desert called an integration. This was a machine for the purpose of increasing the lifespan of people. Ross said the machine wouldn't work though, and he really predicted it right. I like a lot of these works because they hold true today, where all of their predictions really came true with certain pieces of work. And this is one of them that really holds true. They discuss how George received the information on how to build it. He had two contacts. One was of the Confederation and the other one was of the Orion group. He started channeling the Confederation, but because of confusion, he was used by the Orion group and discredited. He was service to others, but very, very confused. There would be no value to the people of our planet to complete this machine, though. They're explaining that the harvest is here and that we don't have to worry about staying alive longer right now. We're getting harvested like any second. Like, I'm surprised it hasn't happened. It could happen any second. We're about to get harvested. So it's really important that we're doing everything from a really heart-centered place, that we're working on our heart chakras, and that we have a violet ray energy field around us. And basically, we need to really make sure we're set energetically. And getting back where we started with this 75,000 year period, there was a harvest 25,000 years after the start. So there's always been a lot of harvests. It's kind of a normal thing. We have these cycles. It's just part of the planet. And there was a harvest, but that would make it 50,000 years ago. No one was harvested at that time, though. As the harvest began taking place, the individuals that had found the gateway to intelligent infinity that could have been harvested decided to stay to help the rest of humanity. They wanted to incarnate back to help humanity raise their vibrations. So the harvest was really small. Any entities that were service to others decided to repeat the cycle. These entities remained in the third density, even though they could at any time leave this density through this intelligent infinity gateway. But in this harvest 25,000 years ago, the entities that could have been harvested, they chose to remain here. So there wasn't a harvest. So for the past 2,300 years, they've been working to create as large of a harvest as possible at the end of the 75,000 year cycle, which is really here right now. This is what we're gearing up for. Ra came here to be service to others and says their messages have been distorted by those in power. The Confederation offers itself in service of the Law One. This is the one being of creation. Ra is from the sixth density. That's where our higher selves are from as well. They have a strong seeking towards the seventh density, so they're almost in the seventh density. That's 2.5 million years in our future. Their harvest is contingent on ours. They don't get harvested unless we do in a positive way. Basically, we are influencing a lot of places and people, not just ourselves. We're influencing the growth of our higher self as well. The decisions we are making now are really affecting our futures and our future selves. Each one of their cycles computes to 75 million of our years. They only work with one planet right now. Ra said they were called by 352,000 Earth entities. So this idea of the amount of people, who will probably understand and be following the Law of One, because these are the amount of people that are ready to be harvested with distortions in the right way. Not everyone who calls will understand the answer to their calling, though. They give the Law of One through channels. But in most cases, the channels feel inspired by dreams and visions without being aware consciously of their existence. The group who channeled this book of the Law One had a soul contract to do it. This made the group a vibrational source of information. That's what I'm trying to become, a vibrational source of information. I wasn't finding the right vibration, so I'm trying to put out my own vibration and to become a source like that. When they contact people in their dreams and otherwise, these people first had to be seeking in direction of the Law One, though. They can't just communicate with anyone. An example of this would be the people of the nation of Egypt. They were in a religion at the time. It was a state of pantheism. This was a form of separate worship of various portions of the Creator. A lot of you guys are familiar with that now. We see all the God pictures everywhere. They could only contact the people whose orientation was towards the One. As the cycle ends, there will be many inconveniences and lots of trauma to push people into seeking. We're about to see things get crazy. You guys should be resting right now. That's why I'm really late going live on this video, because I've been resting and charging up because I'm getting good at these cycles and just feeling the energy. And everyone should be kind of resting up right now, but things are just going to get so much crazier, so much more insane. And this is to really make sure that everyone is at the place they need to be. It's kind of like if you're getting ready to finish high school and you still have a ton of work to do and you're just kind of trying to catch up. That's where we're all at right now. They discussed who was responsible for transmitting a few books. One of them, the Book of Osefi. The book was transmitted by a member of the Confederation whose idea was offered to the Council. This book attempted to use religious distortions to veil and unveil distortions of the Law One. The information was buried within the book, but it has to do with a deeper understanding of love and light. It's an attempt or understanding to teach infinite intelligence through many messengers. We discussed who transmitted the Urantia book. It was given by a series of discarnate entities who reside in our earth planes or the inner earth. This material was not passed by the Council, though. We discussed Edgar Cayce, and they talk about how no entity actually spoke through Edgar Cayce, and how he was actually channeling information, which is a lot like how I'm doing it and accessing information, I believe. The information came from Edgar Cayce, but it was brought through intelligent infinity from the 8th density or octave. Edgar Cayce used this gateway to view the present. The present isn't the time we're experiencing, but a continuum on this planet, and he was really accessing the Akash records or the Hall of Records. So it is possible to tune in. We're kind of like radio frequencies to tune into this stuff. I'm going to let you guys go on that note. I'm not even going to look at the questions, but I'm going to take like a 5-minute break, and I'm probably going to just do news and cards. So love and light, and I'll probably see a lot of you guys fast. If you're catching this and I'm not live anymore, if you haven't joined our Mystery School of Atlantis class, you can just search it on here and send an invite. There is a $20 donation, but you get lifetime access, and I'll be covering a lot of really good material in that group, and then you'll have access to all the feeds I've covered so far. So I'll see you guys fast.